Hello and welcome to the Business Dashboard on City TV. My name is Bobi Osei. Coming up on the Business Dashboard today. Now, Labour economist urges managers of the Consolidated Bank to comply with the terms of employment of workers of the 5 defunct banks. As the strike by the freight forwarders over the CTN enters day 2, we bring you updates from the TACWA report. Also, investors of MTN's initial public offering urge company to disclose offer results with barely a week to listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Still to come on the dashboard, Petroleum Commission gets tough with enforcement of local content laws as it seeks new investments into oil and gas sector. Details of these stories and others, including exclusive interviews and analysis, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Let's take our first story. Now, a Labour economist, Professor William Ba Boateng, is urging managers of the Consolidated Bank to comply with the terms of employment of workers of the 5 defunct banks as it restructures its operations. Now, the comment follows the announcement that 1,700 workers will be laid off by the end of next month. Now, other analysts have been suggesting options available to the affected staff in terms of compensation, but Professor Ba Boateng believes complying with the laid down agreements should be in accordance with the labour laws.
The Consolidated Bank has stated that it should be laying off 1,700 workers by the end of September this year. This means that about half of the 3,700 staff will be asked to go home with a bank which has 191 branches. Already, some contract workers of defunct Beige Bank, numbering 490, who have been sacked, are demanding at least 5 months' salary. Professor William Ba Boateng tells City Business News the new managers should work to abide by existing terms of work.
We should bear in mind that in any enterprise, we expect such a problem. And when there is a collapse, you expect that job losses will occur. But it should be done within the framework of the labour law, because this is not an informal economic employment. I'm sure all the workers in those defunct banks were given appointment letters. They have conditions of service, and if there is going to be any job loss, there should be laid down rules within the framework of the labour law. So even though there's going to be job losses, I expect that we are not going to be sacked without giving them anything. There should be something that is found in their conditions of service, and that should dictate how it should be dealt with.
Deputy Finance Minister Charles Edu Boahen has announced an ambitious plan to establish subsidiary businesses to absorb workers who will be affected by the layoffs. This, according to the government, should reduce the impact on the economy. Reacting to this, Professor Ba Boateng urged that the processes be streamlined to open up new opportunities to benefit the majority of other unemployed persons.
The only problem is that the number of labour market entrants we are registering every year is higher than the job opportunities that are coming up. So that is where government expect to speed up things. Now you can see the macro environment being quite stable. We expect that it will translate into growth that will generate a lot of employment for people. So we are solving, as I said, we are solving a problem. And if you are solving a problem, we expect some negative impact to come up in the short term. But we expect that in the long term, we should have a net positive benefit.
Now, fixed deposit account holders of defunct Beige Bank are still unable to access their matured investment from the company. The issue comes despite the expiration of the 10-day suspension of withdrawals from the said account. The managers of the Consolidated Bank on August 9 put a hold on all withdrawals of fixed deposit accounts to allow them investigate some anomalies in the operations of the account. Now, the timeline elapsed last week, but some customers who have been speaking to City Business News say they are apprehensive over their inability to access their money.
We're supposed to end on Friday, right? So Monday, I didn't receive any money. Since my fixed deposit has not shown any money in my account, any alert to show me that my money has been credited to my account. So I went there this morning to ask to credited my account to my fixed deposit, and then they told me they've extended the fee to another 10 days. So I reopened and I asked you to pay fee.
The 10 days is up, but we still not heard anything. Actually, yesterday night, I had a message from the bank saying that they are still on it, and as soon as possible, they would rectify it and all of that. We don't know as soon as possible, when as soon as possible is, because it is relative.
Well, away from that, hundreds of freight forwarders from the Western region this morning stormed the Takoradi Customs Sector Command of the GRA as part of their 3-day strike against the implementation of the cargo tracking note system. The Takoradi Sector Customs Commander Ebenezer Hiato, who was not comfortable with the disruption of working atmosphere at the Customs Office, told City Business News Akwesi Ejenim that the situation is already affecting its revenue targets.
So this is the situation here at the Takoradi main customs office, where hundreds of free forwarders have gathered demanding for a stop of the CTN, which is being implemented. But I have executives here who have their clear-cut message to the government.
Yeah, we are saying no to CTN. It will not help our industry. This used not to be like this. Carlos, when he was in power, when he was part of it, he said it wasn't good. But why is it that now it's serving him? Because it's his government that is in power. We are saying no to CTN, but we are not to CTN.
Customs needs sanitization of the system, but it should not be an extra cost to the importer. If you want to sanitize the system, take the cost and sanitize the system. That's what we are asking. All the information has been provided to customs through manifest. Every shipment comes with a manifest, and it's given to customs 72 hours before the cargo arrives. So when it's given to you, any other discrepancy on that document is sought and corrected. You get me? So if you want to use CTN, fair enough. It should not be a cost to the shipper, and whatever information provided to you should be final. Meanwhile, the Takoradi Sector Commander, who has been trying to intervene with the leadership of the free forwarders and their associate members, says the situation is so impactful on the revenue collection at the Takoradi port.
Well, the revenue is going to suffer for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And this is the peak period that we work. And the sit-down strike for the 2 days is going to affect us. The impact on us will be drastic. Because already we are below our targets. So we need to double up to achieve the target. And if this is going to continue for some time, we will be at a loss for now.
For now, the Takoradi Sector Commander of the Customs Division of the GRA has been able to convince the leadership of the GIF to allow their members to leave the premises, since they are not the immediate implementers of the CTN. But members over here are adamant and are determined to actually stay here to the time that they want to leave. For City News, I am Akwesi Ejenim, Takoradi.
Meanwhile, here in Accra, the freight forwarders say they are resolute in their quest to push for a total withdrawal of the policy. City News has gathered that only 48 agents paid their duty yesterday nationwide. Now, some of the freight forwarders have been speaking to City Business News.
What we are saying is very simple. The government should listen to us. We won't collect the trade data of this country and give it to one person. We won't allow one person to make 90 to 200 million euros a year to his pocket for us to suffer. You understand? So if CTN is that good, why would customers accept their values? You understand? So this is just create root and share. They just want to make money and at our expense, and we will allow it.
As we started yesterday, we gave a 3-day old. That's what we're going to do. We're still going at full steam. This is not just happening in Tema, it's happening in Takoradi, Lubo, Aflao, KIA, all across the country. In fact, in Sunyani as well. So, just like we said, we're continuing.
We were told 48 people paid duty yesterday. How true is that?
Exactly. Well, that's what we had also. And so you can tell the effect of this whole thing. On a good day, you'd have more than 2,000 declarations going through. So if you are 48, then you know the effect of what is happening.
Well, from the ports, let's focus on telecommunication, and investors who purchased MTN shares are anxious over the seeming delay in announcing the results for the initial public offering. Now, the telecom company concluded its IPO last month, and it is expected to list the proceeds on the Ghana Stock Exchange by next month. In the following report, we explore how investment brokers and investors are anticipating the outcome of the IPO.
MTN seeks to raise 3.47 billion cedis from the investing public through its initial public offering, per the calendar put up by MTN, which will culminate in its listing on the local bears. 5 major activities are expected to be carried out by the end of August. This comprise reviewing the application and commencement of allotments, ending of allotments, as well as an approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission of the offer results. This approval ought to be concluded by Monday, August 27. Again, successful qualifying applicants are to be credited with their offer shares from today till next week, Tuesday. But as an associate of equity trading at UMB Stockbrokers, Kofi Buziache put it, developments seem otherwise.
The procedures are quite long. Okay, maybe it's possible there could be some issues that they have to iron out. So SEC, we think, are still working on it. We haven't got any indication that it will be successful, but we are just being hopeful the results will come out.
These investors also tell City Business News they cannot wait any longer for the results from MTN.
Before we even purchase the shares, I read from the MTN IPO sector, they posted a minimum amount under which the offer will be declared successful and implemented. As of now, we don't know the status of the offer. If it was successful, if it was in excess, or if it didn't meet the minimum offer. We've been kept in the dark. We don't know what is going on. It's quite worrying.
I actually thought by this time it would have come out. The the money raised and all would have come out. I'm not too anxious anyway because I know the credibility of MTN. I try to find out what's happening with that. That was it.
When all is done, MTN is expected to list on September 5, expected to take place on September 6.
Well, you're still watching the Business Dashboard here on City TV. When we return, we'll bring you a report on the livestock industry in Ghana. Stay with us.
Every Thursday night on City TV, you're welcome to join women from different backgrounds and opinions as they weigh in on your relationship issues. Watch Sister Sister as the ladies get real with issues about love, marriage, betrayal, sex, dating, trust, finances, and more.
And his goals and aims and ambitions, including like marital life or children. You should know that from the beginning. And when you have a deep conversation, you should be able to sense the vibe or the energy, but you should have that conversation so that you know what you're going in for. And then you advise yourself upon what you want and what the person wants.
Join Jessica and her sisters for City TV's all-women talk show, Sister Sister, every Thursday at 9 p.m.
Ain't you into the Breakfast Daily on City TV? Stonebwoy SSO. Keep it locked. Don't log off.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
And that is the reason I was making the point to him that I refrained from responding to this Joyce Bauer statement. Because if some citizens have accused President Mahama of diverting a certain amount of money, deal with that, deny same, and move on with your life.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
Say again, please.
You're welcome back to the Business Dashboard on City TV. My name is Bobi Osei. Let's bring you some more stories. Now, almost all of Ghana's livestock is imported from neighboring African countries, including Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. About 1,000 livestock, including sheep, goat, and cow, are brought into the country every week. And although the volume of consumption is not readily available, dealers of the livestock say their businesses are collapsing. Nanoye Ankara explores the situation in the following report.
The livestock business employs over 1,000 people across the country. In a week, over 3,000 animals made up of cow, sheep and goat are imported into the country from Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. Out of the number, over 1,000 is brought into the capital, Accra alone, specifically Circle and Aveno, a place where consumers from Tema and Ashaiman and other parts of the region buy the animals from. This include butchers, restaurant owners and chow-bar operators, as well as individual consumers. So what accounts for the high importation of livestock into the country?
When I go to Burkina Faso now, small goat, how do you call it? Water region. Small goat, even the price, you can run away. 2.5, 3 million cities. Well, take how much I go to sell? In fact, I'm going to myself. If I give loan for people, see, if they give more loan for people, you know, everything will back up. That's why when you go to Burkina Faso, you see a woman have more than 500 sheep and cow. What 1,000 old lady? How much we strong men? We can learn to find. We can learn when Burkina Faso. We got good land, we got everything.
Governments come in to help, because let's say I'm in a rented home. Can you rear sheep in that house? No, definitely no. So you have to get somewhere that you can rear it. But if you don't have enough money, how can you rear it? And as we are saying, like saying Burkina and so on, so government used to help them.
The dealers who believe their business is key to the survival of the people in the country say they may not be able to meet the high demand for animal products if nothing is done to halt the cedi depreciation.
Going to Nigeria, Burkina, Niger, you have to get safer. If the change goes high, then it affects the price of the animal.
So now, before we used to, when 1,000 CFA is 5 something, 5 point something. So now it's 8 for 4 million now for 9,000 CFA. So imagine how much are you holding go to Niger or Burkina and buy sheep? How many? Now normally if you maybe 200 million, so you can buy more. Now, maybe before you can buy maybe I would say 20 or 30 sheep for 200 million. Now that 200 million you have to buy only. Maybe not 18 or 17 sheep.
The city's value and inadequate working capital are not the only problems affecting their operations. The lack of space and theft also account for their inability to rear the animals themselves. Baba Sofo is the chairman for Greater Accra Bisa and the head of Sheep Sellers Association. He says all efforts to get government's attention for the growth of their industry have failed.
We want them to rear the sheep. If you go, they will give them, because you know the big mess. Your work where you know your work. Say like me, while I'm sitting there, it's my work. If you come, I know how to tell you, I know how to manage it, I know how to. If I can't get. There's somebody because a friend day for minister, uncle day for minister, or maybe a friend day there. Then you get. If you don't know anything about the thing,
it's not only the money. They should look at the thieves again, and they should bring a punishment for the thieves who stole an animal. If they do that, it will help us a lot. Like in Burkina Faso, like this, there is those who are taking care of that one, not the police, not the soldiers, but they are civilians. They organize and the government give them their support. The local chiefs give them their support, so that they are taking care of the animals.
For the dealers of livestock, the importation of the animals is not the best option. However, due to lack of financial support and the space to rear them, compelled them to travel miles away in order to meet the country's demand. For City News, I am Nana Oyankra.
Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, began the implementation of the tax identification number 10 on April 1 this year. Its implementation is unique numbers for all workers to help broaden the tax base for the country. But 4 months into the implementation, my colleague Anita Arthur visited some banks to check compliance levels and now reports.
3 months after the implementation of the tax identification number in July, City News assessed the level of compliance, and it emerged that banks were relatively lax in enforcing the TIN. But my latest checks have revealed that the story is different. A random visit to banks will reveal to me that TIN has become a requirement for opening a bank account. Some banks, such as Stanbic, has already notified its clients of the new policy. It reads, quote, "Dear valued customer, GRA requires a taxpayer identification number before you do business with a bank. Kindly update your bank details with your TIN," unquote.
I did receive a message from Stanbic Bank telling me I wouldn't be able to do a business with them if I don't have a TIN number or if I don't bring my details. Yes.
Officials of other banks I visited who spoke to me on condition of anonymity also showed a high level of compliance, as the tellers and customer service representatives told me they would not open an account for me without a TIN.
Then you provide the 2 pictures. The requirements are all in.
Okay. And with regards to the TIN, you said I don't have to go to.
Sorry?
With regards to the TIN, you said I don't have to go to GRA.
You will go to GRA for that. Sorry. We'll tell you 21 days, but some are able to do it instantly.
You can't get it. You don't do it. It's not it's not popular initiative. So you have to go to GRA.
It appears the banks have increased their compliance level with regards to demanding for a TIN before transacting business with customers. This was not the case when I did a similar check about a month ago. The GRA is hopeful of full compliance from all banks by December this year. For City News, I am Anita Arthur.
Well, turning to petroleum, the Petroleum Commission has stated that it will hold oil companies that are yet to operate in the country to abide by the local content laws of the country. According to the Commission, the move is necessary to create jobs for Ghanaians and help transfer skills to local companies. The CEO of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Fable, told officials of Aker Energy who are yet to commence operations in Ghana that government will insist that the company subcontract some of its work to local Ghanaians. He was speaking in Stavanger in Norway as part of the Offshore North Sea Conference.
But we are not happy with the situation where we keep getting complaints upon complaints upon complaints that our indigenous companies do not get a contract. In interactions with Aker Energy, they have committed to take local content to another level, and we are going to hold them on to that promise. But if that promise is going to be made effective, the expectation is that joint ventures have to be formed and transparency in contracts also followed and carried through. We as a commission promise that in line with the laws of the Republic of Ghana, we will ensure transparency, and we expect Aker Energy in particular to also bring the Norwegian model which we are following, as a country. We expect that when the contracts become available, subcontracts, subcontracts, and what have you, the needed partnerships will be done. We as a commission exist to guide the processes, and we are committed to ensure that the necessary synergies are created. We do not, for instance, want to see situations where indigenous companies or joint ventures cannibalize all contracts or have incestuous relationships. We seek, among others, to have everyone who has, or every company that has the needed competency to be able to bid for and win something. So we seek also to unbundle contracts.
Now, staying within the sector, the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, has called for a review of contracts that are given to companies that are mandated to drill oil in the country. According to ACEP, such a move is necessary as most companies that have signed contracts with Ghana after its oil discovery have failed to deliver on the agreements with the country. There is more in the following report.
Petroleum agreements are an important part of Ghana's success story. However, checks by the Africa Center for Energy Policy have revealed that companies that sign contracts with Ghana after its oil discovery have not delivered on the agreements with the country. according to Benjamin Boachi. All such contracts must be reviewed and cancelled where necessary.
Contract define how the industry is shaped. It defines investment in the sector. Because we don't have the money to produce the oil ourselves, we end up encouraging and inviting foreign participation in the contract. So we propose to the ministry that on the back of that information, that some companies are just sitting on the oil, they need to invite them, sit and engage them to see whether they can renegotiate the processes or cancel those that cannot actually do the work.
For the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, Senor Hosi, such companies must not go unpunished.
If we did it, you get into a situation where you are. So we need to come up with a proper formula that can enable us attract the right investors. The longer we take to develop our resources, the worse off we are as a people. Because for you to really maximize the economic potential, you have to optimize the utilization of your assets. And the resources are not being optimized simply because they are engaging in the wrong prices. People do not have technical capacity, people do not have financial capacity, and we keep engaging them. What is Parliament doing? There is a need for an increased accountability in the entire chain. Who did the technical audit? Who did the financial audit? Have they done it right? If they didn't do it right and they didn't advise Ghana right and Ghana is losing, they must be dealt with.
Well, that brings us to an end of today's edition of the Business Dashboard. For more business stories, do visit citybusinessnews.com. I am Bobie Osei. Many thanks for your time. We'll catch you tomorrow with some more stories from the world of business. Bye.